Good morning, guys. So today we've got some farm chores to do together. I've already taken care of the rest of the farm except our chickens. Our chickens are getting a lot of attention today because they're going to be moving to what we call their winter home or their fall winter home. I know we're not actually into winter yet, but essentially what that means is they're going to be moving to a place over in the garden area that they're going to stay until we get back around to spring. There's two reasons why we do that. One, it helps prep that area for future planting. And two, we use our chickens to help build our grasses in our pastures. They're not going to be doing a lot of that in the fall and the winter. So it saves us some work of not having to move them around as much. Right now, the chickens are all contained in their coops. And that's a lot easier than chasing them around or trying to corral them, which I've actually had to do before and have learned to come out the night before and shut them in. And that way you just move the coop over once you're ready and open it. So much easier. So to get started, I need to get the tractor. I need to get the bush hog on it. Right now I've got the hitch and my fencing trailer. So this is a trailer I've kind of just staged all of our sheep fencing and our water tote on to be able to come out every time that I move them and quickly set up the fence and the water. Anyways, we've got to go swap this out for the bush hog so we can get over there and prep that area. Alright, we're nice and cleaned up. Got a bunch of food left in here intentionally to smash up for the chickens. We've got tomatoes, okra, pumpkin, squash. Obviously we put up enough for ourselves of what we actually want to eat. This was just all the stuff that just keeps producing. But chickens will take it and turn it into eggs and compost and other good stuff. So now that we're done cleaning this up, I've actually got to take down the fence around the chickshaw coop because I've got to use it with these other two pieces to set up the fence around this whole area. All right, we got them all moved in. Everyone's good. They're all scratching around, exploring the new area. So I am making a couple of changes to how we are doing the chickens. One change is I'm actually going to be retiring the chickshaw coop. I've got it in there now because I was letting the chickens that I had in there out. But now that they're all out, I'm actually going to open this fence back up and pull this coop out. There's enough space in that coop to house all the chickens that we currently have. And so even right now, it's not such a big deal, but going into the spring, only having to move one coop cuts down on labor time and makes it a little bit more simple. Also, this is a 4, maybe 5-year-old coop, the chickshaw is. And as it's aged, it's done well, but there are some things going on that are making it, things aren't fitting right. Getting the nest boxes out of the back, the egg crates, has become difficult just because of the wood aging and sagging and things like that. So I'm going to retire it. I may end up doing like a facelift reconstruction kind of thing on that. I don't know. Haven't really put much thought into that yet. All right, second thing I'm going to change is the waters that they've been using. I'm actually not going to use those right now because they're not going to be mobile. I'm going to get something like this. So that's a float trough. It's got a float valve on it that keeps it full. I have a couple of those already set up. I'm going to pull one from by the red barn where I've got 2 for one little paddock, because I think we had 2 there because we had a corral that separated the 2 sections, but now we don't, so I only need 1. So I had this idea of I'm going to take the extra one and set it up right here on this back fence with the float valve on it, and then the chickens will have water at all times, and I don't have to come out and check their waters and fill them up like I do when I'm moving them around. That's the only 2 things left to get them set up in their new spot. I've still got this spot over here where the fence is still up. I've got 2 waterers in there, and I've got that feeder. I actually am going to go ahead and put 2 of those 50-pound feeders into this pen, just because with the amount of birds, and I might even do 3, because there's 3 holes per feeder, but with the amount of birds, I think it'd be easier for them to all be able to eat when they need to if I kind of spread out the feed through 3 different feeders. So anyways, I got to move that feeder over there, got to take that fence down, T-posts out, store it. And then the last thing, and this is what I've kind of had to learn about chickens and if they stay in a spot for too long. So this area where I just moved them from is actually where they were at since before the hurricane hit. I ended up not moving them from there because I knew that I was going to put them in this garden space, and we needed some time to go in and pull out the pumpkins and the okra seeds and the different things that we were going to save. So I just kind of left them in the same spot. At that point, with how wet the ground had gotten from the hurricane, the chickens have scratched in some pretty deep dust baths. And so if you leave your coop, if you're mobile and you leave your coop for too long, they'll dig holes. Now that's not great for being able to walk out here or cut grass or anything like that. There's a huge one there. That's probably like almost 11 inches deep. There's one over there. I've got like 4 or 5 over here, one over there. And there's a bunch more over on that other coop spot. And so what I'm going to do after I get everything taken down and moved off, I'll come out with the lawnmower. I'll cut all this grass down. And then I'm going to come back with the skid steer and a bucket full of soil. And I'm going to go through and spread it out over the tops of all these holes and just kind of flatten it out and refill everything back in. So that way grass can grow back over it. So before I really started paying attention to this, and I've made this mistake in the past where I left the chickens too long in one spot. They dug these big holes, and I just moved the coop and don't come back. I was out running with Ben playing baseball, I think, and stepped in one and bit it and hit my face on the ground. I'm sure it looked less severe than it felt. So anyways, I've made a mental note since then to always come back through and fill in the dust bath holes that they make. So I went and grabbed that float off of that extra trough, and this is the water I think I'm going to try and use. It looks like it's going to fit, so I've got to go hook this up to the hose down there. The only way I know to test this to make sure it's going to work properly is to turn it on, let it fill up with water, and make sure that the valve shuts off the water, and also it shuts it off in a way that it doesn't spill out. Because if it's spilling out, it's just going to keep turning it back on and it's not going to stop. So it's got to fill up, it's got to shut the valve off, and it's got to be not spilling. Those are the things you're looking for. This is sloped this way. That's why I put the valve down on the low end, because this end should fill up with water first, which should shut the valve off. So if this doesn't work, we'll play with it. We could put a board underneath this side to level it off a little bit. We might have to adjust where the valve's at. I don't know. We're just going to try it out. We've got probably 3/4 of an inch left. It's just barely going. I don't know if y'all can even hear it. Just a very small amount of water running through there. I feel like by the time it gets even close to being to the top, that's going to shut off. It's already, like I said, barely a trickle. So I'll come back and check this tomorrow just to make sure, but I'm fairly confident that we're good. So they've got their water, their feeders, and everything else that they need. The only other thing I'm thinking that I may have to come out and do is for the chickens that were in the chickshaw that are now going to be in this coop. I might have to come out tonight and help put them in the coop, because sometimes chickens are like, I lost my home, and even though these other chickens are staying in this coop, I'm not allowed to stay there, or I don't know how to get in, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true. So tonight I'll probably come out and see at least 10, 15 of them just sitting around on the ground probably, and I'll have to catch them and stick them in there. And I might have to do that a few times before they just start going in there by themselves, but like I said, it's not that big of a deal. It's just, an extra 15 minutes in the evening for a few days. So they're moved in. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this chore video. I hope you learned something. If you've got any questions about any of the materials I'm using, fencing, energizers, ask, and I'll do my best to answer it. I appreciate your guys' support, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.